Let me call you sweetheart. I'm in love with you.
Welcome to the B-List, where we talk about all the things we love to hate.
And all the things that we hate to love.
I'm Tara.
I'm Courtney, and today we have a great subject to talk about. It's one of our favorite things that we always talk about, and it's B-List criminals, the criminals that are stupid and get caught.
Idiot criminals and idiot crimes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's probably the way I would be as a criminal, because I'm not sneaky like that.
I'm sneaky. I would for sure get caught, though.
Yeah, I would always
I would get caught after. I think that I could probably commit a crime, but it would be...
I don't think I could keep my mouth shut. I would be one of those that just blob to everyone.
I mean, I would tell you, so if it got out...
What are you talking about? We would probably be doing it together.
We would Lucy and Ethel it, for sure.
Yeah, I would totally be Lucy
We would
and
be
Ethel.
Lucy and Ethel again, definitely.
So
sure.
yeah, so we've got, how many do we have? We have several here that we'd like to talk about today. And
I think we're doing a 5 and 5. So.
Yeah, 5 and 5 if we have time for that. And I think that we'll have time to get to all of these. And I'm going to let Tara kick it off first.
I'm going to start by saying you will notice on this list there are no Florida crimes on there, because we do plan on doing a Florida... Sorry for our Florida listeners. We do plan on doing a Florida Man episode. So we do not have any Florida crimes.
That's coming. That will be coming.
That'll come later.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for now we just picked, and honestly, it's just... I try not to get too heavy with... We try not to get too heavy with it, with like a bunch of murdery, you know.
Yeah.
Because again, there's plenty of time for that later.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Most of our list is a little zany, a little stupid, like, you know, not so serious crime.
Not so serious crimes.
I mean, every crime is serious. Don't break the law.
Don't break the law.
It's bad.
But yeah, these are the ones that we actually kind of found humorous. There's a lot of... It's a lot of funny.
Okay, so to start us off on our list, I'm going to take you back to July of 2003 in Portland, Oregon. There's a man named Derrick Mosley who walked into Discount Gun Sales with a baseball bat, and
A gun store?
Don't go into a gun store with a baseball bat. And he apparently smashed open the gun case to steal these guns, and it was a friggin' gun store. So the manager subdued him with an actual gun, and when the police showed up, they had him down on the ground, like stepping on his ass with a gun to his head. So... And so he got charged with robbery and unlawful possession of a firearm because he had taken a gun out of the case. So if you're going to commit this crime, I recommend you already have a gun, because...
And what was his name?
Derrick Mosley.
Derrick Mosley.
Mr. Derrick.
I'll have to find a good mugshot of him.
There's plenty. There's plenty out there. I saw...
Okay, well, I'll put that in the video.
Yep. Don't be the idiot who walks into a gun store with a baseball bat.
He didn't know it would be loaded.
I think he had a knife on him too, but again, it doesn't matter if
you don't bring a knife to a gunfight. Isn't that like the...
It's actually a saying in the world.
In the
saying. Yeah, so definitely do that. Yeah.
What a dumb criminal.
Yep. What do you got for us, Courtney?
Well, I have one. This one happened in August of 2007, so it's been a few years, and his name was Casey Kazee, and he was 24 years old at the time of this crime.
Of course.
And he went to rob a liquor store.
Okay.
The liquor store was Shamrock Liquors in Ashland, Kentucky.
Love it already.
Well, you know, the Bible Belt is rife with crime.
I mean, being from the South, you don't want to be... I mean, everyone's packing.
Right, everyone's packing here.
Just assume we all have guns.
Well, this particular genius didn't have a mask to rob the store with, so he decided to wrap his head in duct tape. Now, of course, it stuck to his face very well, and he...
as it does.
As duct tape often does.
Probably says it on the duct tape.
Well, they ended up dubbing him the Duct Tape Bandit, but it's kind of a tongue-in-cheek kind of thing, because it's
very Home Alone, like Wet Bandit.
Right. And he was caught almost immediately. Now, he demanded to the cashier that the cashier empty the till, and of course the cashier complied. Then he left the store, but another employee tackled him in the parking lot, roughed him up a little bit. He ended up getting away with only around $15. So the police...
I feel like I could subdue a guy like that.
I know.
I could just rip the tape off his eyelash. Could you imagine having duct tape ripped off your eyelashes?
I know, right? I know. Well, if you... I'll also put a picture of his mugshot when he was caught. Because when
I can't wait.
When the police apprehended him, he still had the duct tape on his face.
What a moron.
I know. He like I said, he had only gotten away with about $15. So he goes down for this crime, with only having gotten away with so little. He gives this off the wall interview to the local media about he's not the duct tape bandit. It's not him. Does he look like the duct tape bandit?
Picking sticky off his
right,
forehead.
You would think so, but he's
like
really,
feathers and shit stuck to his forehead.
He's really making a good show of it too. How he's just not. I'll have to show.
I've been framed.
If you go to our YouTube video of it that I'll put up later, I'll try to include a clip of this interview.
When they call you the duct tape bandit, that's not you?
Look at me. Do I look like a duct tape bandit, baby? I'm not no duct tape bandit, you hear me? Live one-on-one, Ashton, Kentucky, you know this is not me. Now look, do the math, do the homework, man.
But this interview also inspired a song, like those songify songs, like hide your kids, hide your wife.
Yeah.
He got his own song, and it is thumping. I mean, it's pretty dope.
I'm not no duct tape bandit, you hear me? I'm not no duct tape bandit. I'm not no duct tape bandit, you hear me? I'm not no duct tape bandit.
Okay.
So, the rant goes viral, the song goes viral, everybody knows who the duct tape bandit is. He ends up having to take a plea bargain because it was him. And I think he got 10 to 12 years that he's still serving in Kentucky.
But also a theme song that slaps.
But he got a theme song that slaps, man. So,
do you brag about that when you're in prison? Are you like, that was me?
I'm YouTube famous.
Or are you like, God, that was not me?
You're right. Well, his face
totally killed someone.
His face is all over it. So.
Oh my God. Do they torture him? They're just buying tape from
so. Do they even
commissary? They're just buying tape.
Yeah,
would they
allow? I would think that duct tape could probably be used as a deadly weapon in.
But don't they use
prison.
it? I think they use it to make shoes in prison. They use it to
They
make
might.
sandals.
They
I've
might.
seen it. I don't know if they do it now, but I've seen it in prison videos before.
Oh, I'll have to look that
stuff
up.
like
That's pretty interesting.
They take like a maxi pad and some duct tape and make
I've seen that.
like shower sandals.
Well, yeah, I saw that kind of all that ingenuity on
and Orange is the New Black.
Yeah,
I learned so much about.
Oh
prison.
yeah, I know what to. If I go down, if I ever commit a crime and go down for it, I probably
you hook up
will.
with the butchest girl there, and
number one, and number
obviously,
two, make yourself some maxi pad shoes.
You got to get some sandals, or you're gonna get those
You don't want a fungus. You don't want prison fungus.
The warts on your feet. Disgusting. Okay, my next one is from March 2010. A guy named Albert Bailey went to the People's Bank in Fairfield, Connecticut. He called them to let them know that he would be robbing the place.
He called ahead.
He called ahead.
Okay.
You want a res.
Well,
you got to get a reservation.
Yeah, you got to get that res in.
Called in to the bank to let them know that he'd be robbing them, just to give them a heads up to get the money ready and prepared. And obviously they called the police, and he didn't even go in himself. He sent his junior accomplice, which I could not see. And I read a couple different articles. I couldn't find the name of this kid, so I'm pretty sure he was underage.
Yeah.
It just said junior accomplice. So they sent him in to get the money with a note that was like, "Hey, I called. Give me my money." And then they were arrested. Obviously.
Oh my gosh. So he didn't even go in himself.
No.
He sent an underage accomplice in.
Yes, and his teenage friend in to.
Well, they're going to get a lesser sentence.
They're going to get a lesser sentence, and you're going down because...
a kid is going to keep your secret, too. I'm not going to talk. I ain't no snitch.
His name's Albert. He's right outside.
Right.
He's in the getaway car. I can't drive. I'm 15.
I'm only 15.
You have a call-in one, don't you?
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, my God.
Another dumb one.
Idiots.
Idiots. Well, here's one that I want to talk about that actually happened just last year. It
Okay.
was in April 2020.
Okay. During the pandemic.
This is across the pond over in London,
Okay.
England, for those of you who aren't geographically savvy. It was actually 4 perpetrators in this actual case, and none of them were very bright. There was David Tour, who was 19 years old, Vagni Kolubali, who was 22, Muhammad Jallo, who was 19, and then there was an unnamed 17-year-old. I guess that English
Underage,
law
yeah.
was underage, and so I didn't find his name anywhere. This group of kids, I say kids, they were young adults, but they were very young adults. They stabbed their victim, David Gomah, 9 times, and this happened in South Newham, which is a borough of London. They stabbed him 9 times while he was on the phone. He was walking home from work, and he was on the phone with his girlfriend, so his girlfriend heard everything.
Oh my God.
What they said,
Imagine.
can you imagine? And there's nothing you can do. You just hear this horrible tragedy happening. Like I said, they stabbed him 9 times because they thought he might have been from a rival gang. And
Can you not ask a question?
Right.
Can you not like...
Well, they were like, I think this is the dude. This is the dude. We got him. And he wasn't even about that life. He even tries to tell them while the crime is happening that
Like, I'm a
it's
good
not
person,
me.
it's not me.
I'm not the guy that you're looking for, because he was just like an NHS worker, just going home from work. Like, he worked for the national healthcare system.
How old was he?
He was I you know what, I
Doesn't
didn't even
say?
get his age, but I believe he was a pretty young. He was a younger man.
He probably had
in
to
his
have been
20s
if
and
they
30s.
thought he was...
Yeah.
Again, check some ID. Make sure
Right.
you're stabbing the right dude.
Hey, excuse me, sir. Can I see?
Hey,
Do you have your ID on you?
you give me your ID.
Well, like I said, none of them were very bright. The 17-year-old, I believe, left his sunglasses at the crime scene with his DNA on it. And then the stolen car that they were driving, I believe it was Muhammad Jallo. He had left his glasses in that car with his DNA all over it. But the stupid one out of this group, the really dumb one out of this group, was David Tour, who was 19 at the time of this crime. He went home and drew the crime onto pieces of like yellow legal notebook
Because
paper.
when you murder someone, you want to go home.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Draw me like one of your
Draw
French
it out
girls.
there. Draw me like one of your French girls. Well, the thing is, and I'll show these. I'll show
I'm
these.
sorry, it's not funny. Murder's not funny.
No, it's not funny.
Idiots who commit crimes are funny.
Yeah. This
Making
is
that very
actually
clear.
very tragic. This poor man who was just trying to get home
Minding
from
his
work.
own business, just trying to go
his own
home.
business. And so, but in these drawings, now these drawings look like a 5-year-old did it. It wasn't like they were detailed or just
Like a
stunningly
stick figure.
They were like little stick figures, and I'll show pictures of them in our video, of course. Whenever he was named suspect in this, the police obviously went and searched his home and searched his bedroom for it and found these drawings. And these drawings had all of the details. There was a series
Why
of...
am I just imagining like his mother like putting the picture like on the fridge, and then they're like, wait a minute.
I know,
That's a
right?
crime.
It didn't mention anything
Look
of
what
his mother,
David
but
did.
look what he did.
Look what he made, a pretty
It's
picture.
pretty, but these included all of the details, like where they were standing whenever they were, in the order in which they were standing whenever they murdered the guy, where they were sitting in the stolen car that they had, like where everybody was sitting. It's amazing that this guy drew out in every detail, and it actually in the trial was like the nail in the coffin.
Yeah, because it's like a play-by-play.
It
of
was
what
a
you just did.
play-by-play of what he did.
That's like when idiots like write it in their diary or whatever.
Well,
like,
and
if you're gonna
everything-
commit a crime, never talk about it again.
And of course, all the forensic evidence that they found at the crime scene, the drawings correlated with the forensics of it all.
Exactly, like there's those sunglasses. It's in the picture,
So,
you know?
That's what ended up putting these guys away, was his little comic strip.
Okay, my next crime is also from across the pond in Berlin, but it's 1995, before internets and YouTubes. This man named Klaus Schmidt robbed a bank with a handgun, and he when the teller was being compliant and asked him if he wanted a bag, he said, "You're damn right it's a real gun." Because then the teller realized he was deaf, which we're not ableist. Everyone can commit a crime.
Right.
Blind, deaf, wheelchair, whatever. Live your life, man. Commit the crime if you want. Don't let that stop you.
We're all capable.
We are all capable. They realized he was deaf and sounded the alarm because they knew he couldn't hear it. And so, of course, he was arrested. And a little twist on this one, though, he went back and sued the bank for being ableist and abusing his disability.
Oh my goodness.
That's ballsy.
No kidding.
How dare you?
How dare you exploit that poor criminal? You should have known. You should have known. Oh my gosh. It's a wonder though that the laws don't protect, I can actually see them like him winning something like that.
Right, just win some compensation. Oh, I dropped my note. But it's just, I just don't get it. Like, you committed a crime, sir. We weren't being rude to you because of your handy-capableness or your handicap. Like,
you were committing a crime.
You were committing a crime. You were robbing the bank. I asked if you wanted a bag. That's literally all I said to you. Rude.
Every time I go, I don't have to go into the bank very often because everything is, done online now. But there are a time or two that I've had to go into a bank recently, and I look around going, I wonder what I would do if I robbed this place.
What you would do? Go to jail?
Well, of course, afterwards. But, during,
I would want to go through, like, a little bit of a spending spree. Like, if I'm going to get caught, I want to, like...
Right.
I'm getting all the guac.
Get it all. Yeah.
Guac on everything.
Get guac on everything.
I'm like Oprah. You get a guac and you get a guac through Chipotle.
And you get a guac.
That's how they're going to know I robbed the place. The guy at Chipotle's like, she can't afford guac. Sounding the Chipotle alarm.
She bought guac for the entire party. That's how we knew.
That's how we knew. Something was off.
Well, I've got one for you from Chicago. This is here in the States with us.
Chicago,
back in March of 2008. Right. His name was Ruben Zarate, I believe is how you pronounce it.
I was so upset you got this one because I read this one too, and I was like, oh yeah. And then you sent me your list. I was like, oh man.
Yeah, that's why I went ahead and sent you my list because I was like, you know what?
She's probably this one so bad.
She's reading the same ones I am.
did. I read this one.
But Mr. Ruben here. He attempted to rob a muffler shop in Chicago. He had a gun. He had a mask. He had black clothing. He had everything.
So he didn't need duct tape. Got it.
And he comes into this muffler shop and demands that they open the safe and give him all the money out of it. And they say, we'd love to, but we can't because the only person with the combination is the owner, and he's not going to be in till tomorrow. So he's like, oh, okay, I understand.
I should have called ahead.
Right.
I should have made a reservation. I'm so sorry.
So this idiot writes down his phone number and gives it to them and says, here, tomorrow when the owner comes in.
That's a 7. Sometimes my 5s look like 7s.
Yeah,
that's a 7.
That's got to be bad handwriting if your 5 looks like a 7.
All my writing looks like serial killer handwriting. So.
Right? Doctors don't have anything on me.
No.
So he leaves his number with them and says, call me. And they said, sure thing, buddy. The next day they call him. And of course, in the meantime, they did call the cops. The cops sent plainclothes officer, a couple
Could you imagine working at the police station? Like, you get this phone call. This moron came in.
Okay, let me ask you guys some advice. This guy came in. Quick question. So they send their officers over who were in disguise. He shows up after they call him. They said, you're in luck. The owner's here. And, come pick up your cash.
The guy said, bagged and tagged.
I'll be right there. He gets there. And, of course, the officers are there when he realizes that he's being ambushed. Now, he's wearing the same mask and black clothing that he had the day before. So they knew this was the guy.
Because Monday is laundry day. And
yeah, well, and if you're anything like me, I can go a few days wearing the same outfit because, there's pajamas in between that time.
Why would you?
So.
Keep that water bill down.
Right, yeah. Good grief. This is, reduce, reuse, recycle.
Redo, cycle.
Recycle. That's why I always do a load of laundry before I flush.
We are ridiculous.
So he pulls out his gun when he realizes that the feds are there. And as soon as he does, there's a little bit of a firefight. They return fire back to him. They end up wounding him, non-life threatening. You know, he gets that all patched up. And then they arrest him. So that's how he got
that's
caught.
ridiculous. Okay, so you're like, you're gonna go to jail for attempted robbery. That's happened to you. When you pull your gun out and you start firing at police officers.
I know. You're just adding. It's like
you're straight up going to prison.
Yeah, you're adding time. You can
You're
almost
adding
hear it
so
like
much time.
cranking the clock,
Yes.
cranking around. I don't know how you're gonna. And the less
Unlawful possession of a weapon, most likely. Yeah, most likely.
most likely.
I don't see him like getting his concealed carry and all that good jazz.
Yeah. I don't know
and-
exactly the charges that they gave him, but you know that there's also
And then you're shooting at police officers. You're lucky they shot your ass and that you
armed
didn't
robbery.
shoot them.
Yeah. And you're lucky that they didn't shoot to kill. Like
Yes.
he got out and he got away.
You're lucky you weren't murdered in the streets for being an idiot.
Of course.
And calling a muffler shop.
Again, they've got to make up a better story whenever they get into prison.
Oh,
Because
for sure.
if you have a story like that, you're just
Hey, what are you in for? Mufflers.
mufflers.
Called a muffler shop.
I gave him my number.
Give him my number.
I mean,
Be honest.
be honest. What do you got next?
All right, so this one is from our hometown. This is in Arlington, Texas,
Oh,
which
right
is
down
like
the road.
20 minutes away from
Yeah.
us. We are in Fort Worth.
We got all our sports teams there. We got Six Flags. Arlington is a fun place.
Arlington's a fun place to be, and this is May 2018, so just a few years ago. Andrew Johnson and Sarah Harrison were doing a little drinky poo while they're driving, a little intoxicated,
Mm-hmm.
doing a little drugs.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, all cars now have, like, you know, GPS and smart cars, all kinds of fancy
All
doodads,
Computerizing.
all computerizing. That was their own fault. If they had an older vehicle, this wouldn't have happened.
Right. That's why I
They
drive
pressed
a-
I don't know if they pressed like OnStar, their SOS button. They pressed like their OnStar button or whatever, and they never said anything. They accidentally pressed it. So the police came because they never said anything. So the police came and found them, and they didn't get in trouble for a false welfare check. What they got in trouble for was when the cops looked in their vehicle, there were drugs and all kinds of paraphernalia in their vehicle. So they ended up getting arrested just for being stupid enough to push the button by accident.
So was the vehicle traveling whenever they pressed the button?
It didn't say. It was just like a small blurb that I read, but like, why would you not just like, I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't have a vehicle that has that, so I don't know.
No, I literally.
If I
drive
saw
a
that I had pushed it,
ancient
I would be
car.
like, hey, never mind, my bad. I didn't mean to push it or whatever.
Well, they say
and
whenever
if they were like intoxicated of some kind, were they fighting and like, you know, thrashing around or something? Were they like getting down and
yeah, what did they hear that they would send the cops?
I don't
Because if they
know.
heard if
heavy
they if
breathing
it's,
and they're sending the cops because something happened. And they
I
didn't
wonder
know
if
what
they were stopped or if they got pulled over while it was driving.
I would love to think that they were just like hooking up.
Right. Smoking crack or something.
Smoking crack and getting laid. As one does in Arlington, Texas.
And I don't have an OnStar system in mind because, like I was saying, my car was literally made the year after I graduated high school, which was a while ago.
It's vintage.
It's vintage. Actually, we get with my car, people will stop my husband all the time and ask if he wants to sell it because it's like a hot commodity. It's a 98 Chevy Suburban. So if you know anything about that and
Gotta get
why
that
anybody would
Suburbs.
want that, let us know because
I'm
this thing is
nothing
it's a
against
tank,
it, but I
love
don't get it.
I love it. I don't want to sell it. I just don't know why
It's not
anybody
like a
would want it.
Ferrari or something.
But I don't have this OnStar system.
I don't have it either in my car. I just
So
don't get
is
it.
the button that easy to push? Because I mean, from what I've seen in the commercials,
They're
it's
like
always
up. They're up
high.
there, like on the dash. Like it's somewhere.
That's what
don't
I
know.
thought too. But
They had to have been thrashing around doing something,
yeah.
fighting or the opposite of fighting,
Or the opposite of fighting,
which is fucking. Like they're doing one or the other.
right?
And yeah, so the police show up, and then it's like, oh, but look at all these drugs here.
Look at everything we have.
Y'all good? Go ahead and get in the car then.
You got just keep going.
We're just gonna go ahead and take you crazy kids.
Well, my next criminal is actually this is a little bit more famous. Some of you may have heard of this guy too. He was a California congressman that was serving in the United States Congress. He served from 91 to 2005, in which that's when he resigned in disgrace, and I'll tell you why. He really thought that he was kind of like the bee's knees, the, cat's pajamas. We are
old.
We are not as old as this guy, because this guy right here,
he was the cat's pajamas.
He was the cat's pajamas. He thought he was one of those playboy types that, living high on the hog kind of guys.
As most congressmen are.
As most congressmen are. But this guy was one of those that took bribes throughout his career. Now, his name was Randall, quote, Duke, unquote, Cunningham. Randall Cunningham.
Duke Cunningham.
Duke Cunningham.
He sounds Southern. He doesn't sound like he's from Duke Cunningham.
Well, I wonder if he was a John Wayne fan or something like that, because he was the Duke, and
maybe
he was a California Hollywood type, because this guy really thought he was a Hollywood type. He actually was a hotshot Navy pilot.
Okay.
Before he was a congressman, and was known for passing out like signed headshots of him in his flight suit, his Navy flight suit,
so
to people, just like, here I am. And supposedly the rumor was like he was like one of those pilots that Top Gun was loosely based on.
Okay, Duke.
Duke. So he loved living his lavish lifestyle. Of course, he had a Rolls Royce. He took the tropical vacations. He always was renting limos to drive him from here to there. Was also a connoisseur of high-end escorts. So,
as one does
whenever you have a surplus, when you have a surplus of bribery. And so these girls, even like the escorts would say he was kind of sleazy. He lived on a houseboat. Actually, well, it was a yacht. It was an expensive yacht. He lived on a yacht.
Okay.
A congressman who lived on a yacht. And his high-end escorts would often say that it was often only lit by lava lamps.
Okay,
you know what I'm
Duke.
talking about?
Okay, Duke.
Okay, Duke.
The implications.
Right. He really thought he was like Austin Powers. That was one thing when I was telling my husband about this. He was like,
It's Always Sunny
because
in
it was about the implications.
Always Sunny in Philadelphia. If you haven't watched it, watch it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
I feel like our people watch it.
Our people, if you enjoy us, you probably already enjoy it.
Implications.
Yeah, the implications.
Freaking lava lamps.
So,
it's creepy.
Come to find out, let me look at the dates here and tell you for sure. I believe it was in 2005, whenever he resigned, that the FBI launches an investigation into his finances.
Okay.
As the FBI often does. And they find...
I feel like you put yourself in that position when you're going to be a congressman or anyone that's in the public eye. You have to be squeaky clean, because they are going to look at everything.
Hide your money better.
Hide your escorts, not on your houseboat.
Not on your houseboat.
Maybe have regular lamps instead of lava lamps. That way they can't say, yep, that's the one that's full of lava lamp.
Right. Who votes for someone who lives on a houseboat?
Lava lamp. And it's a houseboat.
So the FBI.
I wouldn't vote for anyone who had a nickname like that.
Right.
If your name is Richard Jones, you better go by Richard Jones.
So, Duke, they find out Duke has accepted bribes in like the amounts, just outstanding amounts, something like $2.4 million.
Good Lord.
Which he's, spending willy-nilly
on a bunch of hookers, apparently, sex workers. And
yeah, and what they find out is that he's taking bribes, of course, from entities and companies that are looking to snag a government contract.
Okay.
And so so there is giving him all this money. But what gets him caught throughout all of this is he was writing a menu of what he could do for them for certain bribery price points. And it wasn't like incognito memos or anything like that.
Like special code.
He took his own congressional note cards
with name on it,
and
phone number, email, all that.
The United States Congress. Yeah. They even had the official seal of the United States Congress on it. Okay. And on these cards, he hand wrote He didn't even print or use a typewriter or any other thing that boomers do. He hand wrote his prices on this.
I will do this for this much money.
Basically, I think that there's a picture of it on the internet, and if there is, I will put it in this video. He couldn't deny it because it was his handwriting, his note cards, and, you know, of course, he's got all of this money. And so he was convicted in 2006.
No more houseboat for you, my
No
friend.
more houseboat for you. He was convicted in 2006, and I think he was sentenced to prison. He was released in June of 2013. However, when he got out, he still owed like millions in restitution. So he was supposed to pay all that.
You commit crimes.
He was supposed to pay all that back. I don't know if he paid any, if all. I couldn't find anything at that. But, however, our former president, Donald J. Trump, in January of 2021, just this year, pardoned him.
Of course he did. Of course he did.
Because God bless Donald J. Trump. And I say that sarcastically. So yeah, he doesn't have to pay back anything left that he owed in restitution. He's walking around now being just a regular dude, I guess, because he doesn't have that money anymore.
Doesn't have that houseboat anymore.
Doesn't have his houseboat.
Wonder if someone kept his lava lamps for
Probably
him.
probably panhandling on like Muscle Beach or something.
Selling his wares.
Selling his wares.
Lava lamps or hand jobs, your choice. Would you like to see my menu?
Would you like to see my menu?
Or what I offer?
It's handwritten.
It's handwritten. Would you like me to handwrite some stuff for you? My penmanship is great. I got great penmanship.
Oh,
All right, that was funny. I'm going to take it way down before you take it even further down.
Okay.
With your next one.
okay.
My next one. Okay, so I have done research on this guy. I've listened to several podcasts about him. Shout out to Morbid. It's one of my favorite podcasts. About the weepy voiced killer. This is a guy in 1980 from St. Paul, Minnesota. His name is Paul Michael Stefani. Not related to Gwen Stefani. Different Stefani.
Okay.
Not hey baby, hey no. Different.
No
different-
bananas. No bananas for this guy.
He was bananas. If that's how you want to put
BANANAS.
If that's how you want to put someone who attacked 6 women and murdered 4 of them. 2 have survived.
Okay.
I'm glad there's survivors because I love a survivor. After every attack, he would call the police, and in his very pathetic, wimpy, I'm sorry, like, I do not believe in bullying. It's the worst. But when you freaking murder people,
Whenever you've tried to murder 6 and
I'm gonna
successfully
come
got
at you.
away,
I'm gonna come at you if you've murdered someone. In his very weepy, whiny voice, he confesses to all of his attacks. And if you can find anything,
I think that
if you can find clips, you need to put it in because this guy, he's just like, I
will-
just want to
I-
stop killing people. Please catch me.
Please don't talk, just listen. I'm sorry I killed that girl. I stabbed her 40 times. Kimberly Compton was the first one. Oh, my safe. Oh, I don't know what's the matter with me. I'm sick. I'm going to kill myself, I think.
Where are you?
I'm just going to... If somebody dies with a red shirt on, it's me. I killed both of you. I'm sorry. I'll never make it to heaven.
Like, he sounds like, it sounds kind of like the old cartoons. Like, it sounds like an old cartoon. I can't think of who it would be, but it just sounds very like he would fit in with the Looney Tunes cast or something. He's just like very weepy, whiny.
I'll look for them. If I can find those, I'll definitely put those in the video.
The last woman that he attacked, I think it was in 1982, I want to say. She's a badass survivor named Denise Williams. She was 19 years old. She was a sex worker. I think a couple of the women that he attacked were. He stabbed her 15 times with a screwdriver in the vehicle, like took her, parked her somewhere, stabbed her 15 times with a screwdriver. This woman ended up hitting him in the head with a glass bottle, messed him up, like tore his face up.
Good.
And someone, thank God someone was there to hear her. And so they're like, hey, get away from that lady. This guy took off running. He took off running. The man is helping the poor girl who got stabbed 15 times.
Oh, how hard would you have to hit somebody with a screwdriver to actually like
Puncture thing.
Puncture.
Yeah.
Oh, you wouldn't just have the puncture wound. It wouldn't be like a knife slice or anything like that. It'd be ripping and tearing and
Yes,
bruising.
because it's not a knife. It's
and for her to be able to fight back after
got him
all this.
off. Yeah. And so he took off running, got back to his house, apartment, wherever it was that he lived. I don't care. Hole in the ground, disgusting piece of crap. Then he ran back to his apartment. He realized his wounds needed tending to because he's been hurt. So
no.
he calls an ambulance. I need help, you guys. I've been stabbed. You know, obviously the police get involved because they're like, who hurt you? You know, like, you know, and they're like, wait a minute, you sound an awful lot like that whiny son of a bitch who's been calling us all the time.
Yeah.
So he got arrested, and of course he got, and I would not want to go to jail as the weepy voiced killer.
That's what you go down for. That's what you're putting in textbooks.
That is not a cool nickname at all. And I think he passed away at the age of like 58 or something like that. I don't think he was put to death. I think he died.
Was he in prison? I guess he would have to be in prison. At the
Yeah.
time
Oh
of
yeah,
his
he
death.
was in prison. Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He went to prison for sure. But like to have such a shitty voice that people were like, that was you.
That's you. I recognize you.
At least try and disguise your voice.
Yeah.
I've been murdering people. Please stop me. That's what it is. It's like Mickey Mouse, like a whiny Mickey Mouse.
I'm murdering everyone.
Yeah.
Stop me.
Again, not making fun of the women that he murdered, making
No,
fun
no.
of the fact that he's a piece of crap and
Well, that he has such a recognizable voice.
and he just kept calling. And I know that happens, like, I know your next one called the police too, but like, I know that happens where like, they just have to tell somebody and just get off their chest.
It's their own hubris too.
Oh yeah, because they know they're gonna get away with it.
They think, oh, I called the cops and they didn't find out it was me, and they think that they're
Right. Yeah.
they're just above all that.
Yeah, you're not. You're not
Well,
above that.
I guess our final one tonight is
big hitter.
the big hitter tonight is the Btk Killer, who was, of course, Dennis Rader. BTK meaning he would bind, torture, and kill. So,
And P.S. he gave himself that nickname. That's dumb.
yeah, he gave himself that nickname. So, you know, so already he's full of himself.
Yes.
He's already got a big head about all of this. And, you know, and rightfully so. This man evaded police for 30 years. He was most active for, you know, as far as we know. Now,
Like the
this man
70s,
is still
right,
alive.
Yeah.
Dennis Rader is still alive, and he's serving his prison sentence now. He was most active between 74 and 91. And he's known for 10 really gruesome, horrific murders. And it wasn't that he was just targeting like sex workers or runaways or anything like that. He actually targeted families.
Yes. Not that it matters. Everyone deserves to live.
No, everyone deserves to live, but you know, as opposed to a lot of serial killers, they tend to go for people who aren't
who they
gonna be
consider disposable people.
disposable.
No one is
degenerates.
disposable.
Yeah. No one's actually, if anybody ever wants to get into this discussion with me, I support sex workers. I actually
Absolutely
believe in the legalization of prostitution.
Absolutely, because then there's more, you know, you can have regular testing and healthcare and make sure everyone is okay and taken care of.
And here we live in Texas, and so everything here
Absolutely
is
nothing
like,
is legal here
nothing's legal
except
here.
guns.
Except guns. Yeah. So anyway, back to Dennis Rader here.
Off the soapbox.
Off the soapbox. So like I said, he did this for 30 years. And in that time, he really, again, that hubris, you know, thinking that he's above the law, that he's not going to get caught. He would always contact the police or the media. And I'm not going to get too involved into the individual murders that he did. That's for another time.
We will do a case about it. We'll do an episode
because
about it,
we could talk for a full hour about him alone.
I could
along
talk
with
several episodes about him.
Yeah, he's
the worst.
He's just the worst. And you know, whenever you see him or hear about, you know, his public life, he's one of the people that you would never suspect. You know, he was involved in his church. He was a family man.
Code compliance. Which
Yeah.
I'm sorry is just the stupidest. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah.
I'm so sorry. Like, he considered himself like a police officer when he's just telling people like, your fence is painted the wrong color.
Your lawn is too long.
Your lawn is too long.
Yeah.
Better get it together.
He was a complete like HOA Karen, you know.
He was, yeah.
So we'll get into that someday. But his last murder, they believe, was somewhere around 1991. And he continued to taunt police afterwards for a little while, but then just suddenly stopped for something like 10 years.
Yeah.
The case had gone cold. And in the time that he was taunting police, he would leave packages and letters and poetry and all this IDs.
And I'm sorry, if you can find really bad poetry.
Really bad poetry. I'll have to find some of that too and pull it up.
He's one of those, I mean, like most serial killers, I guess, he just loved himself so much. Like, he thought he was just awesome.
They have a God complex.
And it's just,
and he would leave like letters like taped to stop signs or boxes with pictures or drawings. He even like would have
like news stations and stuff
news
too.
stations,
like,
and he would
letters and things.
He would have boxes of like Barbies, like dioramas, I guess, of them reenacting the murder scene of the murder he just did. And he would leave these boxes in various places, libraries, on the side of the road, stop signs everywhere. And then he just went silent for a decade or so, and the case went cold. And then in 2004, I guess he was bored and was like, you know what, I want to start contacting those guys again. So in 2004, he starts contacting the local news station again, wants to get in touch with the cops. He had left a box of stuff around this time, I believe, of evidence.
Because he took Polaroids. He took Polaroids of the crimes.
Yes.
And
he left a box of evidence in a truck at a Home Depot. And the owner of the truck got out of the Home Depot, saw somebody just left.
God.
He didn't open it. He dumped it. He just threw it in the trash. And so later, I guess it was Dennis Rader.
If someone leaves trash in your car, look at it just to see.
Just to see. Or contact somebody.
BTK isn't there leaving
give it
evidence.
to the store manager. Just say, hey, I found this, and say,
like,
bye.
hey, I found Ted Bundy's chewing gum in my car.
Anyway, he says that he went and he tells the police that I left this evidence here. They go and fish it out of the dumpster. They get the surveillance of it and see that there's a black Jeep Cherokee that leaves the package behind. So they have a car now on surveillance. So he contacts
Home Depots, can't go to Walmart's. There's going to be surveillance.
There's going to be cameras everywhere, especially because this is in 2004, I believe.
That's what happens is like these. So he was a 70s killer in a modern era. Where like you can't just do things like that.
These boomers, I swear.
These,
So they get this box and it's got all this evidence in it, and then he contacts the local media once again and asks the media to get him in touch with the police, and he leaves a message saying,
okay, Dennis, like, you can't call the police yourself.
Right. Well, because at this point he's only sending letters and stuff. He doesn't call. He's sending letters. He tells the media to contact the police for him and ask if he can start communicating with the police with a floppy disk. And if he gives them a floppy disk, would that floppy disk be able to trace back to him? Would it be traceable back to him?
My favorite part is where he's like, be honest.
Be honest. Well, I mean, this is the police. This is the police. They're going to be honest,
obviously,
right?
they'll be honest. They're police
so he tells the police, if I can communicate with this floppy disk, and it's safe for me to do so anonymously,
I cannot with this
put in the local paper the code phrase, Rex, it will be okay. So, of course, they're going to be completely honest and say...
that was some other probably nickname that he called himself, Rex.
Rex, like that was his imagined...
I'm a badass name for Rex.
Right.
Okay.
So, so they put Rex, it will be okay, in the newspaper. He sees it, sends them the floppy disk.
Rex is not okay.
Rex is not okay because on this floppy disk, he believed that he had wiped it clean before he put any of this information that he gave to the police. But even when you wipe those kind of things clean, there's still
everything
info
is traceable.
Everything is traceable. And so what they had found on it was a Microsoft Word document that had been deleted, but it left behind some metadata. And through that, they were able to pull that the document was created... Well, it was registered to his church that he was a predominant member in, and that Dennis.
Yeah, he was like a higher up in his church.
Yeah, he was a part of this church. He
Yes.
was a deacon or something like
deacon or
that. I can't
something,
remember
yeah.
exactly what he was, but his name was registered on this metadata as the last person to change the program.
Yes.
That he modified the document, I should say. So they had the church that he went to and his first name. Of course, they get all into their sleuthing mode. They find his address. They go driving around one night, see his black Cherokee at his residence, and therefore that's how BTK was caught.
The
Or
thing
Dennis
is, like,
Rader.
so Dennis Rader was married. He had children.
Yeah,
His daughter, I know, has come out several times, like, talking about, like, we had no clue that my dad, like, they knew his dad was kind of, like, we knew dad was kind of an asshole, but we didn't know that, like,
right.
but, like,
No,
every
I
other-
would never suspect that my dad was. Now, I lost my dad several years ago, but I would still be very surprised to
Your
find
dad
out
would be the
now.
tiniest, furriest criminal
I
ever.
know. My poor dad was a short guy, and he was
Like being
very
robbed by
fuzzy.
a hobbit.
That's why I would be surprised, but that's just it. Nobody ever suspects these guys. They
Nobody
never.
suspected it. I mean, I don't know. And could you imagine being the police? Like, now be honest. They're like, is this guy kidding?
Is this guy kidding? Yeah.
Are we being punked? What's happening here? Ashton? What's
Well, I think that they also, I had read too, that they thought that maybe it was somebody that was yanking their chain too.
Right, which of course they would want to catch that guy also if it was someone who was
You don't
just
want a copycat out there or anybody
Right.
who's messing with it or anything like that. But yeah, that's just it. And then you hear these stories also of, like, he would take his daughter's, like, youth group home after church, and these girls were like, I was in the car with this man several times.
I think that I read somewhere or heard somewhere that, like, he was on a youth camping trip or something, or Boy Scouts or whatever with his son or whatever, and in the middle of the night he snuck out just so he could, like, search for his next victim. But then by morning time he's back and he's like doing the cookout stuff and making
Being
eggs
a
for
dad,
breakfast
being a
and
family man.
Yes, doing the family man thing. That's why he took such a long break, because you know how hard it is to, like, raise kids while you're trying to be a murderer. Like,
Whenever you have to take them to soccer
gotta
practice
take a
and
break.
band practice and
yes,
go to plays.
and his poor wife. I always think about their poor spouses, like their poor wives, like.
Well, especially because they don't suspect half the time. They're like,
Yeah.
I had no idea that my husband was doing this.
Yeah.
And then you.
I mean,
you
she knew
wonder.
he was weird, because not weird.
That's just
whatever.
my quirky husband.
I'm pro sex in all ways. Like, get off, do what you need to do.
Do what you
But
gotta do. Everybody's
he
got
was
their
like
kink.
autoerotic asphyxiation, like, blah, 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 like he was choking himself while he jerked off.
Right.
And he would wear women's lingerie and makeup and the full face. And if you can go by Mindhunter, which I do because I love that show,
I know.
he walked in on him.
Yeah.
Could you imagine? Like, Preston, we have to have a talk.
Okay.
Like, Courtney's husband, he's great.
My husband.
But
And here's the
if you
thing.
walk in on him while he's doing that, like, I would want to have a conversation.
Like, please tell me about your fantasies at this point, because I think I need to know.
like, babe, can we have a talk?
Let's have a talk. Let's have that open dialogue.
Let's have a discussion about, because, yeah, something is not okay.
Yeah, my husband's too busy playing Call of Duty.
That's it. If he were playing video games, maybe he wouldn't have done that. No, it's okay. It's whatever. It's just crazy. It's usually like 90% of the time, criminals just in general, it's their own hubris that gets them caught, because they all think they're above the law. They all think they're smarter than everybody, and you're not.
You're not.
You're not smarter than surveillance cameras.
No.
You're not smarter than data off of a freaking floppy disk.
No kidding. It's just this physical evidence is what gets these people caught.
Yes.
Every time. And it's that one slip up. They think that it's going to be a minor thing that nobody is going to notice. They're combing through everything you do.
Yes, everything. And everyone is like convinced that I'm a serial killer because I love, murder podcasts and documentaries and read all these things and everything like that. But I'm smart enough to know not to commit a crime because I would get caught.
Exactly. We're back to that again.
I would get caught. Are you kidding me? I shed 900 hairs off my head a day.
I know.
I would get
But
caught.
the good thing about us is that we're hairstylists, so we're covered.
So if I'm going
in
down,
other
I'm
people's
taking
hair.
all of you with me.
There's a ton of other hair on
There's a
me.
ton of other hair on me. But, like, I just know, like, one eyelash hair falls off and then you're caught, Like,
Yeah.
you would have to put duct tape over your entire body.
Right. Wrap yourself in a
Wrap yourself
body
in
condom.
Yes, a body condom. Naked Gun style.
Rest in peace, Leslie Nielsen.
Leslie Nielsen.
Oh,
I don't know. I don't think that's where we would go at the end of this episode, but
that's
there we
that's
are.
you know what? That's where we'll end it today.
Yes.
And I hope that everyone that's listening, that's watching, enjoys us. Now you can find us here on our podcast, or you can find us also on YouTube, where we'll have our visual aids. You can see us. You can see these mugshots, any sort of evidence that I can come across to show you guys. It'll be there. You can also email us at...
Yeah, if you have ideas for
if you have ideas for episodes, anything B-list, anything you hate, anything you love to hate, anything that you want us to just touch on.
Be honest.
Be honest. I want you to go to your local paper.
Go to your local paper, contact your police department.
Send a floppy disk.
They will get a hold of us.
They'll get a hold of us. And you can also email us at b.list.forever with the number 4 at gmail.com. And you can also follow our tweets at b_list_forever. Again, with the number 4. Don't spell it out. Use the 4.
Like old schools.
Like old schools.
Like old schools with love you forever.
Love you forever. And we really enjoyed being with you today.
Don't commit crimes, you guys.
Don't commit crimes, but what you can do is like us, you can subscribe to us, and you can share us with all your friends.
Yes, for sure, you guys. And we'll see you next time.
We'll see you next time.
On the B-list.
On the B-list. Love you. Be
Love
safe.
you. Mwah, mwah, mwah.
Mwah.
Let me talk.